it is sort of important to what we do. We've kind of focused the program and the way we started it and the way we've had it over combining multimedia and art. We've now sort of added theater and computer science to the mix, but we started really with sort of a comm hybrid and the Department of Art. And this aspect is pretty important to us, and it's, you know, we still make you take 3 classes altogether, and so it's something that we're going to spend some time on. Has shifted a little bit, so this stuff has changed just in the length of time that we've been sort of focusing on it, because new media has evolved and the approaches that one takes to design have changed. Some of this stuff I've been talking about since I started the class, but some of it has really shifted pretty dramatically. When we started, we really only talked about the behavioral function for design, because really the bedrock stuff here is Donald Norman's stuff on the psychology of everyday things. Basic ideas about how technological objects get used and how designers make them more or less usable, and how you figure that out, how you match the way that people use things with the way that the object looks and acts. So it's a sort of combination of engineering and art and graphic design all rolled into one. Huh? And in that way of thinking about it, we were really focused primarily on usability, right? On functionality and usability. So the rules that you see down here, they're actually down toward the bottom, go with that first behavioral part. These notions about affordances and visibility and strong conceptual maps and such. So I'll come back to that. But these relate most specifically to Norman's ideas about the behavioral aspects of design, functionality and usability. Okay. As design in new media developed, we started to incorporate additional and other considerations. You have to be a little bit careful here when you get to reflective and visceral. And this notion that, or these notions that, design makes appeals to users, and that because there are a lot of different users, almost anything goes, because it'll appeal to somebody. There's so many users that almost no matter what you do, it's going to be okay, because there'll be somebody that it'll appeal to on some level. Someone will get a visceral hit off of it. Right? Someone will be made to feel a certain way by it. Somebody will impute some meaning for it that the other guys didn't. It'll mean more to some people than others. And it's like, okay, so if you got all those choices, so usable, functional, people feel about it a certain way, people impute certain meanings into it, gee, I guess I can do just about anything I want. Given that the internet is so broadly distributed and new media is so broadly distributed that there's a zillion users out there, and it's going to appeal to somebody. So you got to, while we need to talk about these additional ways of thinking about design, because they are important. Sometimes usability isn't the most important thing. Sometimes it's just got to look great. There is that, there is that possibility. There is the possibility that even though it doesn't work very well and it doesn't look very great, for one reason or the other, there's a group of people who go and grab onto it because it's theirs for whatever reason. You can imagine kind of almost a subcultural identification with something that would cause somebody to do that. I don't care. We don't care. This is ours. Okay? But you got to kind of inject this all with a market economic sensibility. You have to find a market. Now, there's the long tail. So if you're thinking that way, then, you got these niche markets way out there in the end of the tail, and good Lord knows what appeals to those people, right? I mean, that's why they're out there in the tail, okay, or at the top of the tail over here, right? And, you know, and that big glob in the middle, where all of this stuff really fits, might get thrown right out the window because you're out here, and they might. Who knows what appeals to them in terms of design? So we're kind of trying to balance this stuff without going overboard, and I think, you know, I put the behavioral stuff first, and then I come back to it at the end as a way to sort of say, you know what? Generally speaking, the big box is usability and functionality. If it doesn't work and they can't use it, they're probably not going to pick it up. Okay, it's probably going to be too hard or unusable. It's not going to solve the problem, and that's where Norman started. But he didn't move from that. So he moved from that to this notion that you have goals for your design based on essentially the demographics of the people who are going to use it. And you've got to do market analysis and do some testing to figure out what those people need and what they make out of whatever it is that you make. And that's why we do, you know, a lot of product testing when we make games and when we do websites and we make the stuff that we make. We spend a lot of time beta testing to make sure that the stuff works. Beta testing across platforms to make sure the stuff works. You know, beta testing across user groups to make sure the stuff works right for the given user group. Okay? And then we sort of make adjustments to what we do. There is this sort of broader notion, which I want to step back from this stuff for just a minute and just talk about the sort of the broadest notion that there is. And that's this idea that you do design it. Okay? We're going to come to it in a couple of other spots in the course. But one of the things that can happen in these technological areas, like the production areas that you're working in, and you'll find it happen with student projects, and you'll think, oh, that's just because it's a student project, but the fact is it happens in the real world too, and that's that you'll just want to get on with making it. You get the assignment and you go, oh, I got to get this done. And you bang it through to get it done, right? And you have the technical capacity with whatever it is you're doing, shooting video or writing code or whatever it is. You have the technical capacity to get it done like yesterday, if you just stay at it, okay? And then you get it done. And then you look at it and you go, and for some of you, because of a native ability or some training in the background, it might just kind of automatically look pretty good and work pretty well for everybody. But for others of you, it'll miss altogether. You know? And so the first notion, really, which I should have started with, is this idea that you just do something. that even this is a technological activity that you could just build, code, program, whatever it is, get it done, make it. And it might not have a design sensibility at all. So part of this notion is just to be thinking with a design sensibility in the first place. This notion that it's not only planned, but it's planned with an aesthetic sense. Okay. Then we sort of get to the rest of it. So